Man, oh man, oh man. It is now a new week and they still crying over Trump being the president. These retarded fucks need to suck it up, grow the fuck up, and get over it. No, seriously. I mean, it's now down to a point where every day I wake up, I always cite the serenity prayer. Lord, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Every day, I always cite that prayer, and for good reason. But back to the matters at hand. Yep, it's me again. They hate it. They hate us. That's why they give a fuck about us. At the same time, as always, I am your host, JD Miles. The MGTOWs, they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time as always, which is why they keep us relevant to this day. And I'm back again. For tonight's topic of discussion. And yes, I'm holding these women's hands when I say this. Who will the 4B movement negatively affect? Who? Now, I understand it's everybody's right to protest, no matter how fucking stupid it is. But seriously, who will this 4B movement negatively affect? Because I could go ahead and tell you this right now. I know the men that is not going to be affected by the 4B movement, and for obvious reasons. Not to mention, they carbon copying what another country did. I believe it's South Korea. Well, we got a black female that's going to tell everyone just how stupid that 4B movement is. And before I go any further, shout out to Cheese's Ed, the host of the Coffee Pod. I'll leave the link to his full video in the description box. Go check it out. But enough of me babbling. Let's get on with it, shall we?
4B movement. All my ladies from the 4B movement, come to the front of the congregation. We need to talk.
Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better.
We need to have a chat. So I'm sure you already know, but I'm going to go ahead and just give a little bit of information for the audience so we have just a clear understanding on what's happening here. The 4B movement started in South Korea, and the 4B movement was a byproduct of the working class of South Korea having their financial future be so decimated that they've literally lost all hope. Okay. Let me give you a little breakdown.
Talk about it.
So in America here, we're on what you would call a 9-5-5 work system, which means the average American worker works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week. In South Korea, they are currently on a 9-9-6 work schedule, which means the average worker in South Korea works 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. They only get 1 day off a week. So 2 things have come out of this financial reality that the people in South Korea have to live in. One is called lying flat. That's when a bunch of people just choose to do nothing. They don't even make enough money. If you see the apartments people are living in South Korea, they literally have little cot beds. And right next to the cot bed is their computer. That's their workstation. And then they have like a little fridge, and some of them are lucky enough to have a full kitchen, but most of them are living single inside of an apartment that they pay way too much money for. They all have to compete for jobs because there aren't enough jobs in South Korea. So they could work for like the Hyundai auto factory. What else does Korea make? They can work for a very limited amount of companies. And because they don't have a lot of companies, they have very high competition. So people in South Korea have multiple degrees and still cannot get jobs because of how scarce the jobs are. And the apartments are so expensive because of inflation. So in my opinion, the 4B movement and lying flat is a byproduct of the working class realizing that no matter how hard they work, they cannot change the material condition of their lives. So everyone is giving up. Also, there was there was an assault case where a man in South Korea who was like mentally impaired used a knife to stab a woman on the street. And the women in South Korea felt as though they weren't like, there wasn't enough support in protecting her, or there wasn't enough outrage for her death, or the women of South Korea felt unsafe and unprotected. That's why they did their 4B movement. So now my girlies in America, I've really been sitting here ruminating on the situation, trying to figure out how you got here, how we got here, right, guys? So I think it's the girl boss of it all. I think it's the future is female of it all. I think we have ourselves a little swath of people who have been sold a bill of goods, and now the chickens are coming home to roost. Everything is starting to be so clear and so apparent to you guys. I'm only talking about it because it happened to me too. When I was younger, I'm talking like early teens, late teens, early 20s. I was watching Grey's Anatomy too.
She hasn't drank coffee her whole life, meaning there is hope. There is hope for not buying into feminism.
I was watching
off the gate. And to be honest, the 4B movement in North Korea is not the same 4B movement that is in the U.S. The 4B movement happened in North Korea because of their struggle. They only started the 4B movement in the U.S. because Trump is the president. What's more, they acting like their rights is being taken away. That's false. No, they still got their rights. They're not doing away with abortion. They're not doing away with none of that shit that they complain about. But now they want the B4B movement. They now want to refrain from sex. And most of the people I see making that claim, and yes, I don't give a fuck if I hurt feelings. I say this shit unapologetically. Ugly, overweight, old as fuck. Most of them are either strippers, streetwalkers, you name it. But the question I gotta come back to is this. Who does the 4B movement negatively affects? Because if they think that it's gonna affect all men, then I hate to break it to you, but the majority of all men clearly don't give a shit. And as they also say, when some doors closes, other doors opens. Oh yeah, you know what I mean by that. Let's continue.
I was watching Scandal too. I was watching How to Get Away with Murder as well. We watched all these TV shows and we listened to all these things that told us that we needed to focus on going to school, getting to the highest level of education, getting good grades so we could make good money, so we could take care of ourselves because women should have their own money. And then when we were done achieving all of those scholastic goals and getting ourselves to the six figures, then all of a sudden our Prince Charming was supposed to show up and just sweep us off our feet.
Yep, that's the delusional fantasy that they have. While all the while, look how they've been treating the men. And now they doing this shit. And which of course, in my personal opinion, is a complete and utter waste of time. So basically they trying to piggyback a movement that was created by another country for a whole different reason than what they're doing this shit for right now. You know what I mean? Think about it. You got some of them shaving their heads bald to look unappealing. No, seriously. Why do they have to go to such great lengths over something that they've been doing even before Donald Trump won the election? And for some, which I stated before, why stop now? Why stop now? Keep going. But the plot thickens. Let's continue.
That's what you told us was going to happen. But that's not what happened.
Mm.
That's not what happened. We are living through the worst dating scene I've ever seen in my life. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm not too old.
Oh, yes, you can. They can speak for themselves. They're out here struggling, crying. Yeah, all over the coffee pot.
But we are living through a terrible dating crisis, right?
Right.
A lot of guys that I talk to that talk about the dating scene with girls, they're always saying, I feel like I can't match up. I feel like I can't compete. She looks so expensive. She looks like a bill. And when the first time somebody said that to me, I said, man, I never thought of that.
Mm.
I never thought that we went and dolled ourselves up and prettied ourselves up so much that we actually made ourselves unavailable and unattractive to other men. But that's what happened. That's what happened.
Right.
And on top of that happening, our working class is not being supported the way they're supposed to be supported. If the case was that we were working on this country's infrastructure the way that we were supposed to, a lot more young men would have a lot more gainful employment.
Facts.
And if those men had gainful employment and could actually afford to be a provider to a woman, they would be more proactive about being in the dating scene. If women didn't set their standards so unrealistically high for the system that was built for the American men that are here, the dating game wouldn't be so bad.
Now, keep this in mind. This is a woman saying this, not a man. This is a woman saying it. So will those same ones be? So will the same ones that are bitching, complaining about men saying this shit, will have that same energy when they hear a woman saying that? I doubt it. We all doubt that they're gonna have that same energy for this woman here. Let's continue.
I'm not kidding. You don't know me. I speak from experience. I'm not kidding. A lot of women in this country have been sold a bill of goods. They think that it is their life's mission to become a high-value woman, so then they can wait for their high-value man to come and get them. Let me tell you something about the high-value men in this country. It's not a lot of them. They actually have something, I forgot what it's called, some type of calculator, where you put in a man that's over 6 foot tall with a college degree and earns 6 figures.
She's talking about the delusional calculator.
You put
Yep. High value men, also known as the 10 percenters. Why they are called the 10%? Because there's not that many of them. No different than the millionaires and the billionaires, which are the 5 percenters. There's not that many of them either. And anything under that, anything that's over that 10% are all the average everyday working men. I believe they call it hypergamy, right? They all want the high value millionaires and billionaires. Basically, they want a dream. But are they worthy is the question. But let's continue.
You put those three in there to see what the percentage of American men are that meet those metrics. I think it's like 0.0042%. What that translates to is there's not enough.
Translates to cats.
No, I'll have two actually.
Enough of them for you.
There's not enough.
For any of you, for us. I'm a high earning, high value woman. There's not enough men. So now you guys are making a ton of money, living in gorgeous homes, having gorgeous lives, all the reproductive freedom you could ever imagine. So you could just run around and be the best city girl you could be. Right? I was there. You can't. It's all right. If I said somebody's dead, it's because I saw the grave. I know what happened.
From hot girl summer to soft girl era to city girl era. Yeah, we've seen it all.
So yeah, y'all have been chasing a goal, and now so many of you have made it to that goal. There are so many women I know that make so much money it would make your head bust. But they can't find a man. And some way, somehow, this country has convinced you that not having a man is okay. And listen, hey, maybe there is a version of life that you can subscribe to where that makes sense. For me, it's a no-go.
So let me clear up something there, because the false narrative that's painted a lot of the times is women are out earning men in all races, including the Black community. That's just not true.
Yeah,
now,
that's
more
false.
Women breadwinners, yes, but more men are still breadwinners than women. There was a Cornell study that asked women who were single and struggling to find a man what type of man economically they would mark as an ideal candidate for marriage. And they showed that they wanted their future husbands or men who they would consider seriously for marriage to earn up to 57% more than they did. Now we're getting into hypergamy, right? Women dating up within the socioeconomic space. And this study also spoke specifically about Black women. Yes, the ones who talk about their degrees, education, and how much money they make. The issue was finding a man who made more money than I make, no matter how much money I made. And that is,
as I said, hypergamy. This all what it boils down to. There's not enough men for them to go around. They ain't gonna settle for the men that are not in the 10% or 5%. The dating market is completely shot as fuck. And now we're in this situation right here. Need I say more? Let's continue.